We say underneath every complaint, there is a wish in digestion. So rather than say, why you are always late, why you are always late, say, I wish we can have 3 dinners as a family a week. So the kids can experience you and be with us as a family and have a memories as a family. How you think about that? So really learning to speak from I language, from I positions to share what's going on for us with vulnerability. And you spoke about this before because it creates some tension to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
But I will encourage you to take the risk. Take the risk to be vulnerable and to show up fully, because only then we can meet each other as human being. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would love to be able to do that, but in my experience, it doesn't work out well for me. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to do it just yet again.
So first of all, when you will be ready, get in touch.
Yeah. Welcome back. Oh my God, that's it. We're on first episode of season 2. I am so excited. I'm so glad to be back. I'm so glad. So glad. Okay, so today we have Dr. Kalanit Ben-Ari on the Tool for the Shit podcast. If you haven't listened in before, hi, I'm Angie Sorensen. I'm the founder of angies.com. That's angie-s.com. Link in the show notes as per usual. Now, that's the place to go if you want to be part of my community. I've made a few changes. So if you want to get involved with what I do and have direct access to me, that's where to go. And you can also just go to my link tree. That way it's like one click, you have all the stuff. And that's basically just the link tree /tool for this shit. There's no asterisk in that one. I didn't have to put an asterisk there. I'm glad. So for once I could actually spell it out. And of course it's in the show notes. Okay, so listen, I know like this is a bit forward of me, like it's only the first episode, hello. But if you haven't yet, please share this podcast with your friends, okay? The more you rate, the more you review, the more you subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts or follow it on Spotify or whichever way you show love on the platform that you choose to listen on, is how you can support this show. And by supporting it, I mean the more people review, rate, subscribe, follow, blah, 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 means that the more people actually get to hear it, because it means that this stupid algorithm will then actually put my show in front of more people. Yeah, that would be super great. I'd really appreciate that. So, it only actually takes you 2 seconds. By the time I've said that, you could have done it 10 times. So, look, it takes 2 seconds. It's free. I'd really love for you to do it. So, today on this episode is all about how talking can be the most dangerous thing couples do. And also how to deal with conflicts with our partners, how to grow and become a better partner for them, or for the next one. Listen, they leave, they lose, okay? So that's my stand on that. And in this episode, I just want to cover 2 terms that are used because it's from a book and from a method called Imago. And the book is called Getting the Love You Want by Dr. Harville and his wife, Dr. Helen Hunt. And we talk about the turtle and the hailstorm. Now, it's a thing. I know, it sounds weird. It's not a zoo show, none of that. I love animals. But yeah, turtle and hailstorm. So basically, the turtle is also called the minimizer and the hailstorm is also called the maximizer. Now, what does that mean? I'm just going to explain to you now just so that you don't have to start Googling it during the show. So basically, the turtle or the minimizer, same person, that person in a partnership, in a couple, always needs a bit more time to process what's going on for them when they're upset. So they usually need a few hours or days to get into their shell, figure it out, and then come back out so they have clarity. And then they can express to their partner what's been bugging them, because they didn't even freaking know and they don't know how to say it. And it's like, oh. Now, the other person, the hailstorm, the maximizer, also called the maximizers, person number 2, needs a conflict to be resolved straight away. Otherwise, it makes them anxious, it makes them angry, and they will take the turtle's need for space and silence as abandonment. Like, if I'm to exaggerate, that's kind of like what's going on a little bit. Now, the more the hailstorm pushes for an answer out of the turtle, the more the turtle gets deactivated. That's how I call it, because that's how I'm a turtle. So the only way I can explain is it's basically I go mute. It's like I lost my brain. And you and I know I have one, right? I have a brain. But it's like I go dumb. I'm like, that's me in the I go, Now, the thing is, if the hailstorm pushes the turtle really strong enough and for long enough and starts to scream and yell, that turtle's going to start to explode, okay? Now, so both the turtle and the hailstorm can actually swap places because they're almost the same person on the flip of a coin. So if, as a turtle, if I'm being pushed far enough, I can bring the house down. I will then explode, but everything that comes out makes no sense, for one. 2, it's like really mean. 3, it's not even what I wanted to say because I don't even know what I want to say. I don't know how I'm feeling. And the flip side for the hailstorm is that if pushed to a brink hard enough, where it's like they don't understand why you're being quiet, blah, 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 or whatever it is they're being pushed to the brink of in the relationship, there could be 1,000 reasons. You haven't met me. Okay, so you've been pushed to the brink. The hailstorm can then flip and go really silent. And then they'll go into the shell. Like for a very long time. As in, they leave and you're dead to them. You know what I'm saying? So, on that jolly note, listen, let's begin. And help me welcome with a really warm hug the fabulous Dr. Kalanit. Her accent is to fucking die for. It's so hot. I don't know how anyone could ever be mad at her in a relationship. But anyway, without further ado, let's begin. Welcome, Kalanit. How are you?
Good, thank you. Happy to be here today.
Thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited to have you on because we've never spoken before. Just now we just had a little chat and I already really like your energy. I really like your energy already on the website and what you had to say on there. So I'm really happy just now with our chat. And I wanted to do an episode today with you because I believe that now, especially after failing miserably at communication with previous partners, that talking can be the most dangerous thing that people do, as Dr. Harville and Helen Hunt say in their book, Get the Love You Want. People say communication is key, which I'm sure is true. Mm-hmm. But saying that is a bit like saying, oh yeah, for a great surgery, you just need a scalpel. And it's like, well, without knowing how to use it, I think it'll be a disaster. So, I think now more than ever, with this whole lockdown situation, we are, whether we live alone or in a partnership, we are really faced with our wounds, unmet needs, and looking after our mind and understanding how we function and come across is really essential. Mm-hmm. And I used to say at the beginning of lockdown, the first one, I was like, I'm on the winning team. I'm single. I live alone. This is great. And now I'm like, I am not on the winning team anymore.
It's by far too long. Yeah.
Now it's exactly too much time on my own. It's not good at all. And so just to circle back into why I'm having you on is that, obviously I mentioned Dr. Harville and Helen Hunt because you are one of their Imago therapists, mm-hmm. Which is a method that we'll get into in a little bit. But what else really drew me to you, Kalanit, is that you specialize, among other things, you specialize in new relationships. And let's get real. Unless we get past the first 6 months, we are never going to have to talk about long-term dynamic issues and, the long-term benefits of being with somebody. And I find there's not many therapists who do talk about the beginnings. Mm. And so I'm really excited because this whole method around Imago and the book of Dr. Harville, I read it recently and I was both amazed and sad at the same time, because part of me was like, how come I wasn't told this about earlier? And so I have tons of questions for you around beginnings of relationship. And so before we dive in, please introduce yourself, where you live and what you do.
Yes, thank you for the lovely introduction. So Kalanit Ben-Ari, I'm in central London in the UK. I'm a couple therapist for the last 20 years. I work especially with couples and parents and really help them achieving and fulfilling the relationship that they want and to make conscious relationship. And improving wherever they are now. I help them to get to where they want to be in the relationship and to live in a sense of connection and positive and safety and fulfillment. So this is what I do. I also teach therapist. I also write books, and I'm the chair of Imago in the UK. You mentioned Imago, so it's part of it as well.
And you know what you just described, about like that relationship goal. I'm like, that to me, that sounds like a unicorn. It sounds like a rainbow I'm never gonna find. Like, it sounds all real nice, but it's obviously something that I think obviously a lot of us aspire to, but it does feel, and especially nowadays, you can't just go out and meet people in the wild, we're all indoors. It seems very far away, but yeah, I'm glad that you are, I'm going to keep that as like a guiding light that maybe this is a possibility. But because we're talking about relationship and dating, can I be really cheeky? And if you want me to remove it, I will. Can I ask you what your status is?
What is what? Sorry?
Your status. Are you single, dating?
No, I'm married, long-term relationship. We are together almost, we are together 18 years. We have 2 girls.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Oh, very nice. Okay. Very nice. Okay. I wonder what it must be like for someone to be married to a therapist who knows about relationship. It must be good.
I hope good. I don't hear much complaints. So
No, it's good. It's good. I want to start off with, a lot of people talk about the honeymoon period.
Yes.
And I think not all of us, this is my experience, not all of us are able to stay in a honeymoon period for very long, or also I find for me it takes me a while to get there. Like, I'm not gonna just let go. I'm 42 today. I'm 42. I'm not gonna just let go. I've had enough experience to know that things can stop, and so I find that not all of us are able to stay in the honeymoon period for very long. And so I think that sometimes I feel that maybe we're either too direct, because I think when you're a person who's direct, you're not going to stay in a bubble, and maybe also our inner child can act out pretty quickly, which can create a stop and start flow to the process. And I wonder if you could maybe, do you have any thoughts around that? Like, why is that?
Yes, oh my God, I have so many thoughts. I need to organize it to tell you everything that is my mind, because being too direct or being, you said, the childish acting out might be a defensive mechanism for moving away from intimacy in relationship. So it's not necessarily related to the honeymoon stage. It might be a defensive mechanism regarding intimacy or connection or intimate connection between partners.
Yes.
But everyone, some people experience honeymoon stages for a few weeks. It can be up to 9 months if you are really lucky. But the brain cannot sustain that sensation for more than that. So the brain during the honeymoon stage produces different hormones, and you see the words differently, but it cannot be sustained for longer than that. So some people will fall in love in the first sight, but actually it's only 11% of couples. Most of the couples seeing each other and developing the relationship. But all of us in long-term relationship know that at some point the honeymoon stage will finish, and then in unconscious relationship, partners move on to the power struggle.
Yes. Yeah, but but I think I'm not sure this whole honeymoon thing, like, because I think, isn't it also sometimes, because sometimes, okay, I'll give you an example. You can feel yourself, let's say you spend a few days and it's like amazing, and you start to fall for someone, and then you have a few days apart, and then
your mind start playing out, especially now with isolation, lockdown, a lot of things are cancelled. We can't just, and everyone has different opinions around COVID. Not everybody wants to be social. So a lot of our lives have been very reduced. And so a lot of our time with ourselves is increased. And I think maybe, this is what I've sort of been thinking, is that we can sort of like fall a little bit in honeymoon, but then we stop it. It's that, like you were saying about moving away from intimacy, that control level, not letting go. And I think maybe also a level of, that upper limit, what's it called? With that, from the book, The Big Leap, like, that upper limit, like not allowing ourselves to have too much happiness, and then we go and sabotage it. And I wonder if those things are not there to also stop you from falling into a honeymoon, because some of us have that. We've been dating in a big city for 15 years, and it's the amount of disappointments and stops and go are endless. And so we find it very difficult that when we meet someone good to actually just go, yeah, I'll just fall. I'll just fall, I don't know what am I deluded? I don't know.
No, not at all. But I think it's really about the perceptions and the expectations that we have about finding a partner for a long-term relationship. So if it's we are looking for something like in the movies or the songs, or are we looking beyond maybe how they look like or whatever it is. And relationship needs to develop. At the start of the relationship, we see our own projections. We fall in love with how we feel in the presence of the other person. We fall in love in projections that we put on the other person. It's not that we really know them well enough. So we need to give that a time in the process to emerge and to create that kind of intimacy. I agree with you that right now it's very challenging for singles because they don't have the same opportunities as before to meet people and to socialize and to have more opportunities to start new relationship. But on the other hand, it depends what you do with that time, because you can take this period of time for self-reflection about your past relationship, about learning about yourself, and about making conscious decisions about what will be right for you or where you want to spend the energy post-lockdown. So you can use that time to serve you well. And actually, in the busyness of life before lockdown, people are avoiding intimacy with too many days out or evenings or Tinder or all the apps, and you always think something else better is out there. So now it might be a good time to quiet your mind and to go in and to search in yourself, to understand yourself and to see what are the values that I'm looking for? What is the relationship, how I want to feel in the relationship, how I think we can be together, grow together, what you really looking, what is the meaning in the relationship, and then maybe to attract even energetically better people for you, better partners.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it does. It really does. I mean, it's all an inside job, isn't it? It really is all about inner work. And that's why I think it can be so... I think that's why it is challenging, relationships, and it takes the other person to want to stick it out, because like I want to get into that philosophy around Imago, because I find it really interesting, because he talks about, for example, when people are quote unquote compatible, it doesn't work because it's boring. You need that tension of incompatibility a little bit. There has to be, like, which comes in the power struggle a little bit, I think. And I thought that was really illuminating, because I've always wanted someone to challenge me so I can grow. And I think, but wanting that and living that is not the same thing. It's challenging.
Yeah, I will also I'd like to say something about something that you mentioned before about that it's an inner work. It's not only inner work, it's inner maybe reflection and understanding, but the work itself will show up in the relationship. So the healing and the growth will happen in the relationship when you feel maybe challenged by your partner, how you are going to relate to that, to him or her, if it's same-sex couples, how you are going to show up, what is your growth, but in respect to the space between you, to the relationship, if that makes sense. So it's not only inner work.
Can you give an example? So let's say, can you give an example? Is it like, for example, when you have an argument and then Or what do you mean?
Yes. So if you have an argument, it's not only to understand a parts of yourself and where is your baggage shows up right now, but it's also to understand what is your growth. So for example, if in argument you are what we call in Imago the minimizer, you will shut down or withdraw or distance yourself from the situation.
Yeah, that's me.
So I had a feeling, even though I met you 5 minutes ago.
Oh my God. No, trust me. Yeah. Because my ex, he was, I think, a maximizer. He was
Yes.
like, well, he talks about the turtle and the hailstorm, right?
Yes,
So the
yes.
more he'd push, the more I'd close in, the less I could express myself.
Yes.
And the more he'd get aggravated, which I understood completely.
Yes. Exactly. So one way when you say the work is inside, is to understand that about you, what it serves you in the past, how you learned to behave like that, because it was something that really helped you in your childhood, and it's something that's really good for you. But right now, it takes what you want from the relationship far as possible. So the healing and the growth will happen in the space between you and your partner, not inside. And it means that your growth will be to initiate more, to show up more emotionally and physically, and to say, I see that you are upset. Do you want to talk about it?
Yes.
So this is what I mean, to differentiate between inner work, but actually the growth and the healing happen in the space between.
Yes. Okay. Can I see if I understood this correctly?
Yes.
Because this is exactly what I realized when I was reading the book. And I say reading, it was an audio book. I listened to it. That's how I like to learn. I listen. Yes. So I realized that's the thing that this is what I thought was so beautiful about this whole Imago thing. And I wish I'd had this book before the relationship ended, but it is what it is. It's over. But it's what I realized is that what they say in the Imago method is that, like in this example exactly, like I find it, I'm minimizer, so like I'll withdraw, I'll close in, I don't know how to, I find out how to express myself. The other person obviously is aggravating.
Yes.
And so where the healing comes in, I think, in the relationship is that he was showing me what I needed to learn, what I needed to grow, my areas of growth, which was, like you said, to come out of my shell, express myself, feel the emotions, not withdraw, not run away. And what he could have learned from me was to just, I could have learned a few things from me, but I think, for example, I think a little bit to listen without reacting a little bit more. I think
yes, to be present,
because I love to listen, but I don't think he thought he was, I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad, because actually he was a great listener and he had so many great qualities. But I think when we hit that power struggle really quickly, and it, we showed each other our areas that we needed to grow, and it is hard. And so I think we both realized those things during the relationship. So, I guess like we're both walking away better, I hope. But is that the thing? Is that what you mean by the healing comes in the relationship? So ideally you don't break up, you work through it.
Yes, it's ideally for each couple will be something different. But in the Imago approach, we are not fearful from conflict. We see conflict as a goal in the relationship. There is something here that it's a call for us to grow and to heal to a different place. It's opportunity for growth. And we try to understand how we relate to each other in that moment, in that tension, how we can hold that tension so some novelty is going to emerge. And there is the growth for each one of you. But because the more you are anxious, the more you will need to go away and to,
I withdraw.
And the more he is anxious, and obviously this is going to trigger your partner's anxiety. And the more they are anxious, they will need to figure it out right now and to talk about it right now and to understand that everything is okay right now. So unconsciously, you are building an energy between two defensive mechanisms, but you are not speaking about what's going on really in the relationship. I feel lonely, or I feel not supported, or I feel whatever it is. You start to have a relationship between two defensive mechanisms, but we're not talking about the underlying feelings, underlying issues that's going on here. But even for the turtles, as we said, you sometimes do need to take time out, or you do want to reflect, so you won't come across with reactivity, but you will come across as a safe partner.
Exactly.
But this is also, to do that, you can do it mindfully. So rather than just saying, okay, bye, I had enough, and leave the room, because this might come across as rejection, abandonment, and many other negative feelings. It's showing up and to say, I really want to listen to you. I'm sure we can figure it out. I just need a little bit time to reflect and to bring a different energy to this conversation. So I will go for a round and I will come back and we'll make dinner and we'll talk about that. Is that sounds good? Give him a hug, go away.
Yeah.
So it's a different, you are doing that in a sense of connection, and you are still safe partner, taking care of whatever you need to take care of. So you will show up with curiosity, with wonder, with safety, rather than with reactivity.
Yeah, I think this is interesting, because I think what I didn't do enough is during conflict, I should have given him hugs and just said, that I'm like, my feelings haven't changed. It's just that I just need, because sometimes I think I did say, I'm not avoiding you. I just need time to collect myself, because like you said, because when you said turtles, for those who haven't read the book or listened to the book, is that we are the minimizers. So the turtles are the ones who, in a conflict, we need to just, we sort of, the higher the conflict becomes, the more we sort of hide out because it's too much. But also, in fairness, I think, to the other turtles like me, the reason why I'm actually retracting is because I can, how do you call it? I can bring the house down too, I can't, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to be, I think in conflict, sometimes I can, if that person starts to be really, really, really up there and aggravated, I can join them there too, because sometimes, especially if the guy is quite tall and big and strong, and he starts to be aggravated, I have to almost then rise up to it too. And it's not a place I want to be.
Yes, any defensive mechanism can flip to the other one.
Yes,
to the other extreme, because you try your own strategies, and when you feel that you are, in your experience, pushed to the limits, you will flip to the other. So the maximizer can suddenly just shut down or disconnect, and the minimizer can suddenly explode, because it's like a pressure pan, and then you open it when it's not ready and it's explosion.
Yeah. And I think it's also about awareness, isn't it? Because let's say if you know something, when couples are in a conflict, it gets very emotional, stakes are high, people get, even if they are like minimizing turtles, the inside is conflicting. So I find that for me, what I've learned, over the years, is that I need to, if I feel something, I may see red very quickly. So I know from experience, I need to shut my mouth and I need to walk away. And sometimes I need a day or two of, I'm not ignoring the person, I'm still in touch, but I need a day or two to actually know what's going on, because I don't know, because that primitive brain, primitive emotions are taking over my brain first. And I know that I need to get past that wave. And, so but it doesn't suit everyone, some people are like, wow, you're not talking to me straight away. I'm like, I can't, it's like you go mute. You don't even know what to say. And the more they push you, the more it's like you've lost your brain.
Yeah, but sometimes you have other options, and this is about really exploring other options to be with pain and still in connection and relationship. Because what we know from research, that when people are in stress and anxiety and pain, going towards relationship will bring them a better mental health and well-being, rather than avoiding it. And sometimes you need time to figure it out, and that's okay. You can do a bath or whatever, but you can you can even show up to your partner and say, I need time maybe, or we will come back to that, but in the meantime, would you be able to give me a hug? I just need a hug to breathe together for a couple of moments.
Yeah, that's true.
So you can still go toward relationship, but also taking care of yourself.
I wanted to bring up something that you said about conflict, because theoretically, I agree with you, conflict brings resolution. Okay. And I think it's very important to get past those things and to talk things through. But I find that in reality, as much as, I do it and I can do it, like I find in reality, it's a very different ball game. It's very, it's why I want to go through this next bit about how to get past. I've written down arguments, but I guess like conflict and how to forgive yourself and your partner. Because I think sometimes, like, when you go through and you talk, because I've had those deep talks about, about the power struggle, what was underneath it. But doing so, going around, explaining why that conflict happened, why you don't feel supported, why you feel like you may be drained because you feel like you've been supporting the other person or whatever it is, vice versa. It's exposing yourself like that to someone is very, very raw. And I find it's a physical pain. Like it's literally, it's like a physical pain. Like, you get like, you should have had like a sore back, headache, you name it, and the other person wasn't feeling great either, and I think is this a normal feeling or is this means that you need to walk away? Like it's very confusing because none of the movies talk about this bit. Everyone's all happily ever after at the wedding, and then they don't talk about the relationship. So can you talk through like how do we get through that? Is this normal? And how in the forgiveness process, because it's a lot about forgive ourselves as well.
First of all, everything is normal. And yes, we don't have many models in life, in our culture for a successful relationship. So what does it mean? We also don't have models of speaking openly about what's going on in relationships. So we see Facebook pages, Instagram, everyone are very happy. And then the next day they are divorced and we don't have anything to understand what happens in the gap. But we also don't have it in our families. We grow up, we saw maybe conflict. We didn't see how the parents figure it out with closed doors or what was going on there. And some of us grow up with divorced families or single parents, so we don't have that model in our brain of how you work together as a team and how it looks like, how it's supposed to look like. So if I don't know how something is looking like, how I'm going to do it by myself on automatic. So it's a learning process. And here it's the importance of repetition, because it's also remind me something that you started at the start of our talk today, how we change the behavior. And this is a repetition. The more you will do something, the easier it will become. And when there is a struggle in the relationship, there is something in the brain that calls a negative bias. Negative bias, it means that your brain is filing all the negative things about your partner for survival reasons. It's not only about your partner.
The archives.
Yes, exactly.
It's filed very neatly.
It's a big file, and you remember every negative things that even they didn't do, but their facial expression or whatever, it's association in your brain.
Well, especially after breakup, the longer you go without talking, the more the negative stuff starts to pop up.
Because you have more projections, you have more stories you tell yourself about what's going on rather than being in the reality of your partner and understanding really what's going on. The problem is that because of the brain negative bias, you don't have the same file for the positive ones. So you need to be conscious of, in the time of conflict, to remind yourself the positive one. Oh, I want to remember that I have a good partner. He got a good heart. He loves me. He's trying his best right now, like me. He doesn't feel like that, but he tries his best. And to acknowledge the positive things about them and the positive contribution that they bring to the relationship, really to balance the negative bias of the brain. One of the important things that I will say that I think many couples are caught up in the problems, in the topic that they are talking about, and it's not about the topic. When you are in a conflict, it's not about figuring out a specific problem or fix a specific problem. It's about working on the atmosphere and improving the atmosphere. So it will be an atmosphere that problems can be solved.
What do you mean, like going for a walk or something?
No, I mean about the atmosphere of the conversation. So is it a conversation that it's safe, as we call it in Imago, if it's safe enough? Is the atmosphere is positive? Is there more positive to the negative? Am I a safe partner for my partner right now? Okay, I may maybe feel angry or irritated, but how I come across to him, am I a safe partner with my pain?
How does that look like?
If I blame my partner, shame him, analyze him, I'm not a safe partner. If he's talking and I'm raising, my eyes or rolling my eyes, I'm not a safe partner. if I'm making fun or avoiding what he's telling me and,
Yeah, that's awful.
closing the door and walk away, I'm not a safe partner. But if I'm showing up with curiosity, with openness, if I'm owning my parts, yes, I can see that when I was late again after you told me that it's upset you, you will be upset. I can see that. If I own my parts, and if I look at that with curiosity, let's see what's going on here. Let's learn from that. Let's see how I can show up differently in this relationship, or what is the growth for me and what I need from you. And to speak a language of wish. In Imago, we say underneath every complaint, there is a wish in digestion. So rather than say, why you are always late, why you are always late, say, I wish we can have 3 dinners as a family a week, so the kids can experience you and be with us as a family and have a memories as a family. How you think about that? So really learning to speak from I language, from I positions, to share what's going on for us with vulnerability. And you spoke about this before, because it creates some tension to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
But I will encourage you to take the risk. Take the risk to be vulnerable and to show up fully, because only then we can meet each other as human being. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would love to be able to do that, but in my experience, it doesn't work out well for me. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to do it just yet again.
So first of all, when you will be ready, get in touch.
Yeah.
But so, you want maybe to do a little bit more process, but I would say this is a first step. Whenever you feel that sensation in your body, and you said that you feel it in your body, so you're already aware of something, to pause, to take a deep breath, and to make space between what you feel and how you react. Just to make a little bit space and to observe your thoughts, to observe your feelings, to observe your body sensation. And just to make a little bit space between what's going on for you inside and how you are reacting for the outside.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy. Honestly, I don't know. Yeah, it's it's almost like a foreign language to me a little bit. Like this last 5 minutes that we just took, listening to. It's almost like, I don't know, because I don't know. Yeah, it really is like a foreign language.
Yes, and foreign language, English is not my first language, as you can
No.
hear with my Borgen language. And you need to hear, I needed to hear some words, I think hundreds times, and I still don't pronounce it correctly.
Yeah.
And it's repetition and repetition and repetition. And it will be a foreign language if it's not something that you experience in your childhood. So if your parents got divorced, or if you were raised in a single parent household, so it will be foreign language. But it's a skill that can be learned and can be practiced and can be mastered. I do what I do for many years. I can tell you that.
Yeah. I think also, like you said, about the safety is very important, because I think it's really hard to, let's say if you are, whether you're dating or in a relationship, and you want to talk about, you want to address something, and it's not a big deal. It wouldn't be a big deal if the person was receptive, but then they make it a big deal. They get very defensive, and then
yes, but I want to tell you something. They will become defensive if the way that you tell them that it's not safe enough.
Okay, can we talk about that?
Yes.
Exactly? Because how do we talk? Because I feel I'm talked out for 2020. I can't even have friends come to me and ask about start a conflict. I'm talked out after that relationship. I cannot. It's like I'm drained, and I don't know how, because I think I went about it completely the wrong way. Some of the time, not all the time, but it wasn't. There was. I make it sound really bad. It wasn't bad, but I'm just saying. Like, I think I'm not good at communication in a relationship. And so
if you can add the word yet.
Yes, yeah.
Because it's not a part of a character, it's a place that you can grow into.
Yeah, I think I tried my best, but my best wasn't good enough yet. So I think, like, can we talk about this whole safe conversation? Because that's also part of the Imago family, really. So how do we, can you have an example maybe of whether it's like, from clients or whatever, like that we can talk about, and then how we approach that conversation as a couple?
Yes, I can give an example, many examples, but one that related to lockdown and that families, two parents are at home and maybe some of them feel the household are more on their shoulders. There is a world of difference between saying you don't do enough and everything is on me and I need to take the kids and I need to cook and I need to do this and this and you are just working and blah, 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 blaming, shaming, negative. And there's a huge difference in saying, I know how both of us are really busy right now, and I know how you are stressed around work and worried about finance right now. But I feel really overwhelmed. I feel, and I know that you're doing so much, but I will just tell you, I feel that I do the kids and also my work and also all the extra pressure that I have with household right now. I feel really overwhelmed. Do you think we can think about this together and see how we can work as a team around that?
Yeah.
It's a huge difference when I'm speaking about what you are not doing or not doing enough or why I'm not happy about you, then appreciating what you do and being in your world and knowing that it's not easy as well, but also share with you how I feel. And then moving us to think about how we can work together so I will feel supported. Or maybe I will feel, or maybe, I feel lonely, or I go to sleep and I feel lonely and I really miss us. But I noticed that in the last few weeks, you watch your own Netflix, I watch my own Netflix. We don't have enough and we are not going out because everything is closed. And I really miss us. So you hear it differently than saying, "Oh, you are only occupied with your own Netflix and you're on the screen all the time, and we don't do anything, and you don't care about me." You, with one way that I said it, you react with defensiveness, and another way that I say it, you react with compassion, with love. You want to collaborate, you want to collude with your partner, and to show up differently for them.
But you said something really important here. I just realized because there's a third way of doing it, which is actually not good. And I think that's what I've done is you can't just go, I'll give, so I'll do an hypothetical. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say if you were my partner and I'd go, I love you. Now, I think you're amazing, blah, blah, blah. And I go, but I don't feel supported. I don't feel this. I've been this, la, 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 la. That's actually not a safe way of doing it either, is it? Because
it's entitlement. I deserve better.
Yeah, because I'm going, yeah, you're great, but this, and this. It's actually like school.
Or there is another negative way that couples are doing. They say, no, we are just too different. Or it's just a dead end. And this, the language of dead end, leave both of you are even energetically empty. Because this is just because we were not meant to be together, or we will always be different. It's really closing conversation. It's not open in conversation. It's also negative.
Oh yeah. Also saying, oh well, maybe because that's awful. Like, do not like if anyone's hearing this and they do that to their partner, I can tell you don't do it because it's awful. If your partner raises something that they want to discuss, and then your reaction is, well, maybe I'm not good for you. Maybe, you shouldn't be with me if you don't like this with me, if you don't like,
Exactly. This is closing conversations.
Exactly. Oh, the first time is fine because then you reassure them. But the thing is, over time, what it means is that every time you are trying to express something, and being a turtle is already difficult. So the minute you express something and the person comes with that, over time you go, maybe I'm being selfish. Maybe I shouldn't be keeping them because clearly maybe we're not good for it. You know what I mean? It's like then you start to be convinced because you start to go, and it's not safe. I don't think it's malicious. When people do that, it's unconscious. So they don't mean it that way. It's a defense mechanism. And I think that is something that I also understand is that people say that because they go into their own character assassination, which I'm very good at doing too. So I can completely understand that side. And it's like a defense mechanism. Go, before I fall too far, I'm going to push you away so I don't get hurt. And it's because I think as almost we do all these terrible, we say all these, I say terrible, it's not terrible, but we do all these awkward things and say all these awkward things, and we don't realize the impact it has on the couple. And we do them because we know that we like the other person. We know the stakes are high. So if it's high and we, there's a high risk to sabotage. And I think we go into sabotage a lot quicker sometimes, some of us.
Yes, I think that you said before, you can tell them once, but not to continue it. I would say even don't say it once. You can say it in a different way that bring you closer together. I say sometimes to couples, imagine that there is a rope between you, just a rope. And imagine that you are each one holding a different end of it. And you say something. And imagine after you say that, is your partner going farther on the rope or closer to you on the rope? And it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And it can be the example that you gave before, rather than saying, so maybe I'm not right for you, or maybe whatever it was that. You can tell them, when you say that, I start to feel that maybe I'm not appreciated, or I start to feel maybe you don't love me, or it will be really helpful if you will give me also appreciation before. You start to communicate what's going on for you and what you need.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because also actually when someone says that over time, it makes you think, well, maybe I don't have feelings. Maybe I am cold, because really, if that person wasn't right for me, why am I doing here? Like, why am I still there? Like, am I using them? You start to really go, say it enough times and it will have the opposite effect intended for the person who said it, because you start to question, like, well,
you put the seed, and some people will say, so let's get divorced.
Oh,
So
don't do that. Don't do that.
You put the seed for separation, but you are moving away from connection.
And then obviously also let's be clear. We're all going to say things, we're all going to say the wrong things.
We have ups and downs in every relationship. I think that what we can see with a strong, stable, satisfied relationship is that they are not freaking out from a conflict. It's not the end of the world. They know, okay, we will learn from it. We will grow from it. So this is one piece. Another piece that they know how to repair quickly. So it's not that they will go weeks not talking with each other or whatever. Maybe they won't talk about this right now in here, but they will know that we will figure it out. There is enough trust to know we will figure it out. It's not the end of the world. We are not going to a language of catastrophe. We are going to be divorced. I'm not with the right person, and so on. We know, okay, we disagree about that. There is so much other beauty and appreciation and love between us. And I know that I'm married to a good man, reminding yourself that. And then you walk through those power struggle or differences, and you acknowledge your partner. They are not only with different name and body, they are in different history and perspective, which is valued and equal to yours. So you learn each other's language, you learn the vulnerabilities, and you are not going to step on their open wounds from their past. You're going to be on their team. And it is couplehood. Yeah. It's a team spirit. It's a sport team. You need to do it together.
Yes, I agree.
Think every couples have ups and downs. Every couples will experience tension during the relationship. But it's how quickly you can repair.
How did you quickly repair? Is it because you're on each other's team and then you go and do like fun activities together? Like, what do you mean by?
I think that you need to nurture the relationship. I think that you need to put a lot of goodness inside. So, because if you are not doing that, you are more vulnerable that every small piece of not taking the dog out will start to create so much tension just because you are not in the right atmosphere at home. So you nurture the relationship. If it's with touch, if it's with intimacy, if it's with appreciation, you even thinking about each other, asking each other what's going on for you, being part of the other worlds as friends with respect. So first of all, you need to nurture. You need to put something in. You invest in pleasure. You invest in novelty. You invest in surprises. You create a good foundation. Then if there is disagreement, it's a good foundation to start to talk about it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah.
And when you talk about it, so you speak with I position, I language, as I said before, you're speaking about your underlying issue, what you wish that will happen, and you are moving together, not drilling on the past experiences. You are moving, okay, so what we learned from it and how we can use it in the next time, or moving forwards and towards the relationship. Does it make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. It does. There's a bit I want to, from the start, I kind of like want to touch on a little bit. Is that, when we talked about at the beginning with the honeymoon stuff. So even like taking the honeymoon word out of the equation, but at the start of a relationship, when I say the start of a relationship is, like the first 8 months, because that's still very new. It's very new, actually. Even 8 months, 6, 7, 8, 9, even the first year, it's new.
Yes.
So, I think some people have this expectation, and they may be right, they may be wrong, I don't know, that the first year you shouldn't really be arguing. It should all be easy peasy. Right. And that's kind of what I was trying to, I guess that's what was sort of like, we were talking about at the beginning, is like, well, to me, I find that this is my experience. I find that with me, if you can get through the first bit, which is, I mean, it's great at the beginning, the first 3 months, but then, I don't know, like I feel, is that really real? Because I feel like if people are living in a bubble and it's all good and good, I feel like, especially at the beginning, when you're two worlds colliding, you're two strangers, really. Even if you were friends before, it's a different ball game. Once you start to sleep with somebody, you see a different part of them, because they're showing you a different part of themselves, and it's a different relationship. And I think when you start off, maybe I'm cynical, and maybe I'm trying to justify my own behavior, but I feel like in the first year, I feel like that's when actually it is hard, because you have different communication styles. Maybe you have different expectations. You're getting to know each other. If you're not clarifying what the other person is saying, you may be completely on the wrong track and totally misunderstand them, and then that could start a conflict, whatever. But I think, like, if people, that's what I was trying to say about being direct, like I feel like if people are showing truthfully, authentically as they are, and I don't mean excusing bad behavior, that's not what I mean, but I mean, like, if you are being yourself, effectively, by the nature of things, when you are yourself, you're gonna at some point upset someone, because you are not trying to people please, you're not trying to tiptoe around people, you're being yourself. And so I find that if two strong characters, even if one of them is a turtle, two strong characters get together, at some point because we're going to be so truthful, we can't pretend, and it doesn't mean that we don't like that. So that's what I was trying to ask. Am I being delusional, thinking that if people are like, oh, we never fight, the first year is amazing, it should be honeymoon, I'm like, one of you is lying.
No, so I can say, bless you. I can say a couple of things about that, and I will say a little bit into more of the theory about Imago and the falling in love. And I won't go to all the details because we won't have enough time, but we fall in love with partners unconsciously. We fall in love with partners that hold some of the characters of the people who raised us.
Yes.
For the good and for the bad, and more for the bad, for the negative, because this is because of our brain, what is underlying our negative experiences and stay there. So this is on the one hand. On the other hand, throughout our first 6 years of life as children, from birth to age 6, we are moving to 4 developmental stages of the childhood. From the attachment to exploration to identity and to competence. And in each stage of psychological development, there are levels of growth that happens, and parents can support that or neglect that or criticize that. What we know that we all have some wounding in one of those stages. And when I say wounding, it's not only traumatic or necessarily neglected families. It can be a new baby in the family, and the older child feels that the attention, it's not only on them right now. It can be moving homes. It can be parents who are taking care of their dying parents. It can be a brother or sister with special needs at home. So it can be many things, and parents, I am very with lots of empathy to parents, since I am a parent myself, because I see that it's not easy as we thought. No. So during the first few years of life, we all experience some level of wounding or pain. And especially I say wound or pain, it's when there is a longing for a connection that was not fulfilled, where there is a disconnection between the child and the parents that raised them. What we tend to love, we say, I'm not sure that I like the word stuck, but it's like we are wounded in a specific stage, and then it's like a snowball that it's moving with us throughout our childhood. And what we see that the same stages are happening in relationships, in romantic relationships, but also in when you start a new job or when you start a new friendship with a same-sex girlfriend. And so if you are wounded in the early stage, for example, the attachment, the first year and a half of your life, we see that this is affecting the first falling in love stage. The falling in love, the honeymoon stage, it's really parallel to the attachment stage of a baby. But if you are wounded later on, let's say when you were 5 or 6 in the competent stage, so you will experience conflict around that level of your romantic relationship. So for that person, it might be that the first honeymoon stage was easy peasy with no conflict, was very comfortable. But when they reach the stage that they maybe something happened in their childhood, that it's not complete, or where they experience some longing or disconnection, this is when it will show up in the parallel process in the romantic relationship.
You know, I love that you said that. I love that you said that because that shows that, you know, it's not a one size, it's not everyone. So a relationship is not supposed to follow a certain wave of easiness and struggle for all of us. So like for me, my image of the honeymoon period is very different to someone who can go through. So someone actually who goes through a honeymoon period easy peasy can be it could be a completely healthy relationship, and they're no one's being fake, they're being authentic.
Yes.
So thank you for that. Actually, I like to be proven wrong, so that's good. So this is good, because it also shows that that also shows why we shouldn't feel so bad or guilty or ashamed, because some people actually, you know, we often have I know someone, she can't get past the 7 year, which is, I know it's a cliche date, but it's not because, but it is for her 7 year. That's all she can do. She just cannot, if she's been married twice, 7 years, that's it. She can't do it. So we all have different struggle at different times, you know, and I think it's, but I find, what do we do? Because we still have to get past that first stage.
Yes, but I would like also to say that it's not that we are completely authentic at the start of the relationship, regardless of where we are wounded, because we are making a different effort and we try to make impression. We think maybe that we are more authentic, but we still try to attract and to hook the partners that we fancy.
100%, yes.
We are investing in how we are looking, and we are investing in what we are doing and how we hold our body and what we wear underneath our clothes. We are investing. So it's not, you know, I want to show compassion to that as well.
No, but you're right. I like to say like authentic, but I probably wasn't complete, because you do still want to make a good impression. 100%.
Because couple says in the long-term relationship, they said, oh, we are not spontaneous anymore. Nothing is spontaneous anymore. The start of the relationship was spontaneous. And I said, no, it wasn't. Take me to the process before your first few dates. How long you take care of yourself to look so beautiful and nice and sexy, and it's not spontaneous, but we do it in a different level of awareness, so we don't notice that we put so much effort.
But actually, and actually spontaneity is more the anticipation. So the anticipation, there is no spontaneity. It's like that looking forward to that date. Oh my God, I'm going to be wearing this, and we're going to go there, and I'm going to see him.
And shaving and preparing, and then after 10 years, you're not doing all of those things, and you're wearing your partner's a t-shirt or your partner's pajamas, and you want the same result. So you need to put in different consciousness and effort.
No, and I like this because, you know, and I do want to say, that I think, you know, I love the fact that, you know, you've brought up to our attention that it's a multidimensional. There isn't just one way to look at a thing, one way to do it. It's so different. And it's like when I would definitely encourage, you know, people to, you know, to go to your website or to read the book, because what I realized when I read the book, Get the Love You Want, is that I always knew I was with a good man. That's why I was really attracted to him.
Yeah.
He's a very good man. But what I also realized was that, what I was going to say is that a lot of the things that I guess the bits that that broke us apart were the bit that actually we needed to learn. And those are the things that, I think we could have gone through it because he had like so many good qualities. He's, and obviously I'm very attracted to him. I know he doesn't listen to podcasts, so I can say it's fine. I'm not going to be embarrassed, I think. But, so I think we had a lot of the ingredients for it to make it work, but whatever it is, whatever was going on for him in his life, whatever was going on for me in my life, and 2020 is very challenging in and of itself.
Yes.
So I think, it's like that rope, like you mentioned, broke. But I think what I learned was that, okay, well, actually, next time, I'm going to have this awareness now that actually that bit that I find so challenging and hard is that bit I need to learn. I need to step out and I need to be more present. I need to be more loving. I need to give more hugs. I sound like I'm a cold bitch. I'm not. I'm very loving. But when I'm hurting,
Yes.
I do withdraw. And I can see it's interesting because when you go through things like that, and I guess I'm trying to say this for people who listen, is that when you go through a breakup, I think, I would definitely recommend that book because I think it also helps you empower yourself a little bit in the sense that, you can see more the direction, why went wrong.
Yes.
And actually it didn't have to go wrong. But I think it's important to learn, because you don't want to be in a constant state of this sadness or anger or resentment. And it comes in ebbs and flows, but it's important to understand that people are trying their best, and unless someone is vicious and malicious, which is is pretty hard, is rare. I think most people do try their best.
Also to remember that when we feel triggered, our brain reacts in a very defensive mechanism of alerting our well-being, like there is a real danger for our life, like there is a lion in the room. And I say there is no danger. You think differently about this issue, and that's okay. Hold the tension. There is no danger here. Really taking a deep breath to this, sentence. Everything is okay.
Yeah.
Everything is okay. There is no real danger here. We can work this out.
It's to understand that the person is not the enemy. That's sometimes very difficult not to.
Yes, they hold pain the same as you. They want to be happy the same as you. They want you to be happy the same as you.
But it's hard sometimes to feel that they're on the same team as you. And for me, like a team, like you mentioned team a few times, and that's very key for me. It's the same like with friendship, like you have to be a team. And team requires you to be honest, but also just to be there for each other and to, but for that, you have to obviously be aligned in some sort of values and principles because, you're not going to be the team with someone you find awful. Yeah. Actually, I wanted to ask you this is how do we not lose ourselves in a relationship? Especially at the beginning, I said beginning, like the first year, because I think it's a bit of an unconscious progression sometimes. And so how do we not worry about what our partner will think about what we do in our work, for example? Or, like, for example, for me with a podcast, sometimes, I have to think, especially if I date men with children and stuff, I sometimes have to I'm like second guess myself. I'm like, wait, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be second guessing myself on this. But how do we not lose ourselves when we are with someone? Like that's obviously a trait. That's a personal responsibility on us. But like, how do we not let that happen? And why does it happen?
It's an interesting question, and each one will feel differently here because some people in the honeymoon stage just want to be with their partners, do everything together, and not to miss opportunities to be with each other. For turtles, I can see more that they more be maybe conscious or afraid to lose their freedom or their space, and they don't want, as you phrase it, to lose each other. But I will look at the feelings that underneath that. Is it that I feel anxious? Is it I feel trapped? Is it that I feel, what is it there that I feel that I need to protect.
It feels like basically, like for me, if I was to be honest, I'm afraid that literally my soul's gonna die. Like it's like death almost. It's that feel like I'm gonna disappear, and if I disappear, they can like. I mean, it sounds contradicting, but it's almost like if you give yourself to someone, they can literally, if they hold your heart in their hand, they can crush it with their feet, and they can kick you when you're down, and you could. Like, it's like a death. It's like.
So this is a core anxiety. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what happens is a counterproductive, because when you go to have your space, you are not getting what you want from the relationship. So sometimes it's a work that you will do with yourself, and sometimes it's a work that I will encourage the listeners to go to do with a therapist. But it's really to understand that sometimes your own behavior will be sabotaging. And this is why I'm asking, do you need space as a defense mechanism, as a way to avoid conversations, as a way to protect yourself? Or do you need space in the service of the relationship? And I ask what the relationship needs from you, not what you need from the relationship.
Do you know what? I need to lean in more. And I know this is interesting because I do consciously know, but it doesn't mean that my reactions are, are aligned to it. It's like what I want warmth. I want like a house full of noise, like, people coming over for dinner. I want it to be so full of love, warmth, and noise that I'm like, okay, I need some space, because I know that saying that it's a luxury. Like I've always been conscious of that for a very long time, but unfortunately my familiarity is to be a lone wolf, so to give that up is a big risk.
Yes. So the messages, that the baggage that you bring to your adult relationship are conflicting with the vision that you want for yourself.
Yeah.
And here you need to do some work, because you need to teach yourself messages, and you need to train your brain and to wire your brain for connection and not for individualism. And the start of it, it's when you notice that, stay with that feelings, take a couple of deep breaths and observe your mind. Don't be attached to the feelings or attached to the thoughts, but just observe it and say, okay, this is how I feel in my body. Put your hands there and take a couple of deep breaths, or move a little bit those areas, and observe, okay, when I feel that, this is what's going on with my breath. And let's observe my thoughts, and let's observe my feelings, but don't attach yourself to the thoughts. Just be observer and create some space for this to happen, because your body needs to do some integration. And this will lead you to make more conscious decisions. Because after you observe yourself and all the voices within you, and having a dialogue in the voices within you, you will start to create different behaviors. And you say, okay, I want warmth. So how I need to show up right now to create more warmth in my relationship. And maybe it will be to tell my partner, I feel really triggered right now, but I really need a hug. Is it okay if I will hug you? Okay, so you make a little bit space first, and then you react in a more conscious, from a more conscious place, and this is authentic in my perspective.
No, for sure. Yeah, because you're showing the feeling underneath the reaction.
Exactly. This has been authentic. This is how I feel right now. This is what I need to figure out. It's not your job to figure it out. It's not your job. Yes, I will figure it out. What I need from you right now, it's a hug. Would you be willing to hug me? I know that you're angry. I know that I did it again. I know I own it. So this is really being authentic, and it's at its core. If makes sense.
So is it? I like what you said. I liked a lot of what you said a lot. But
I do hope so.
Is the thing you said? Do you need space in service for yourself or in service for the relationship? And I thought that was like an interesting, really good distinction, because effectively you can always make space for yourself.
Yes.
You really need to be making it now when the going is a bit tough and you're in the middle of a conflict. You really is this actually going to help? Mm-hmm. Or, and actually, like you said, you can still create space, but by just asking, I just need a hug. Just give me, I own this, and I'm just, I love you. Just give me a hug. I just need I just need a few hours to just compose myself or whatever. And then we can talk about this, but I'm not going anywhere.
Yes, and also with making space, think about when is, if you work, let's say pre-COVID or post-COVID in an office from, I don't know, 9 to 5, you can have a lot of space there. You can have the break there. You can do things there. If you need on your space only in the times that it's in the framework of the time for you and your partner, it's not serving the relationship. If that makes sense.
So outside the 9 to 5, if you still need space from the relationship, that's not serving it.
No, so if then you come home and you see your partner and then you decide you need more space and it's repetitive for a long time, it doesn't serve the relationship.
Yeah.
And this is where you wanted to talk about exit. I think you asked me an hour ago about exit, but we went with it with different places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the exit point, actually in Imago, in the book, he mentions like there's the extreme is, take your life, suicide.
Yes.
It's obviously the extreme, and it's not funny. I'm not laughing, but but and then the other ones is obviously is like, hobbies, having an affair.
Affair, it's a more catastrophic one, yes, because then you need a little bit interventions to heal from that. But we all do it. I don't say about the affairs and the more catastrophic one, but the day-to-day exits are we are putting them on the things that we already do. So it means to be more 100% with the kids, or devoted to charity, or doing more sports.
So basically being outside of the relationship, spending time outside of it.
Yes. And it's when we do that, and it's obviously about the balance, but couples also, I'm doing workshops for couples. And I tell them, when you put your hands on your heart, when you do something to avoid conversations, to avoid intimacy, to avoid your partner. So you do that instead of talking about feelings and what's going on in the relationship. So you stay another hour at work, or you become addictive to sport, or you say that you need to stay on the screen.
So let's say another one is, let's say if you don't live together, right? And you put your phone on airplane mode.
Yeah, so you don't have any way to connect.
Because I used to write a lot, so I write, and I'm quite a creative person, so I often need I need zero distraction. I need like for now this morning, even though it's my birthday,
happy birthday!
Thank you. My phone is on airplane mode because I need to be in the zone, and I don't want any. And I've had a few conversations this week that I cannot be handling with at the moment, and that I need to be in the zone, and so. This is now, we started at 10 a.m. So it's okay. So that means it's going to be on airplane mode till we finish this, but I need that time. But I also realized that so that is a process. That's part of my creative process, and that's fine. But I've noticed that I've been doing that if I'm in conflicts with whoever, I'll put it on airplane mode so I don't have to deal with it. And I think that's an exit point.
Yeah, definitely an exit point. Once you're starting to talk about it with your partner, you start to bring the energy back to the relationship. And it can feel very terrifying to close an exit point, because then, okay, you said it already, but only starting to talk about that, start to bring the energy back. And then you will start to make more conscious decisions. But even if you need your creativity space, which makes sense, you can do it with the relationship in mind. So you will call your partner before and you will say, I'm going to be out of contact for 2-3 hours. I just want to tell you I love you. I'm looking forward for our dinner together and speak with you soon. And then you have all the times that you need, but you are doing it with consciousness about your relationship, about the other partner and their words and how they experience you.
Yeah, and I'm going to be writing all day, or I'm going to be researching all day. I'll say I'm in the zone. I'm going to be in airplane mode, but I'll be back in the evening. I'd warn, and that was actually stop the other person being worried or thinking they've done something, because I've realized it's not nice when it's done to you. So I know we need to round up soon, but like this, I could talk to you for hours. I have so many more questions. This has been so wonderful.
Thank you.
I don't know, maybe if you wanted to come back on the show, I would love to have you back, and we could talk about,
with
different.
Pleasure.
Okay, great, because there's so much more to cover. But I just wanted to check with you. Do you think is breaking up always the end? What are your thoughts on getting back together? If people learn their lessons, like how. Is it always best to just no, never go back? Or is it that, again, that is not like a black and white, and it depends on each individual and situation?
It's definitely not black and white, and we are complicated human being, and we create sometimes more or less complicated relationships. I know many people that actually were married with children, got divorced, and after 7-10 years of being divorced and seeing other partners, came back together. So I think that I saw everything already, and I don't, everything is possible.
Yeah.
But I think that it's important that when you come back together, if you come back together, it's to decide to do it consciously, to do some work, to learn what was painful in the past. So you are not going to repeat it again, and you are going to go stronger together.
Yeah. And I think in that conversation is to definitely not blame the other person, but own up and say, this is what I would do differently this time. And then let the other person come to their own conclusion as what they would want to do different this time around.
You don't even ask them. The way that you reflect yourself and the way that you take responsibility, you create atmosphere for the other one to do the same.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. Is like to let them come to their own conclusion. Like not to tell them, it's like, this time you're gonna have to do it.
Yes. And how we can show up differently to each other, because it's not only me and you, it's the potential of both of us, also the limitation or the struggle, but how we can show up differently, how we can support each other in the places that we feel vulnerable, so we'll be a stronger unit.
Yeah.
And working on your vision, from the book, vision, it's important, working on your vision.
Yeah, of what you want the couple to be.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, so just want to say thank you so much, Kalanit. And I'm going to ask you the finishing thoughts. I asked the same 2 questions to all my guests.
Mm-hmm.
So what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
I will tell her many, many things. But if I'm speaking about relationship, I will tell her, don't worry. You will figure it out, and you will be in a loving and stable relationship.
And what stuff do you not put up with anymore?
This is a difficult one because if I see something that triggers me, I know that it's more about me than about them. So usually I go in to figure it out and to understand, and then to communicate it. But on a general sense, I will say that the older I am, I choose to spend my time only with people that I love. If it's friendships and work-wise, I'm looking for the joy. So the positive energy.
Okay, so Kalanit, thank you so much. Can you please tell us where people can find you, how they can learn more about you, how they can work with you? Give us all the goodies.
Yes, of course. So my Instagram, Dr Kalanit, Kalanit. My website, kalanitbenari.com. I published books, one for parents, one for children on Amazon. For parents, it's Small Steps to Great Parenting. For children, The Lost Book. I'm doing many workshops, amazing workshop. Actually, the Getting the Love That You Want workshop. The next one on April. Last one was 3 weeks ago, which was amazing.
Are these all online?
Online, yes. And if you're a therapist, I'm doing trainings, regular training for a therapist to become couple therapist, Imago therapists. I'm working only online right now because with the COVID situation, so it's only online. I do have waiting list, but if you're patient and if it's not urgent, I'm sure we will find the time.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Kalanit. And I really hope to have you back on the show. This has been fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. I enjoyed it a lot. Thank you for inviting me.
And that's our episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to rate, review, share it, subscribe it on iTunes, follow it on Spotify, or whichever platform you listen from. However you show love is how you can support this show. Drop me your questions or suggestions for future episodes via the website at angie-s.com, or come and find me on Instagram at Tool for This Shit Podcast. See you next week, and until then,
using health inappropriately.